One Piece, chapter 1102. Let's get it. The cover page has Bonney along with a couple of wolves, and they're smacking down some glizzies. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Fucking glizzy gobblers, all of them. Bunch of glizzy goblin animals, man. Alright, let's get it. The chapter starts off by showing us Bonney and her crew pull up to an unnamed island, and they're looking for Kuma, and they're on a fucking mission, man. They've been fucking shit up left and right. Bonney is turning Marines into old people and children. She ain't fucking around, yo. For real, for real. You know, the fucked up thing about it is Kuma is not too far from her. Kuma knows this. He's like around her when she's looking for it. But he refuses to reunite with her. He knows if he meets up with her, he's never gonna follow through on his side of the deal. So he bloops the fuck out of there. Bloop! And he does that before they could even spot him. Bonnie talks about finding her father and also finding Nika one day. Shit is so crazy, right? Like, fuck, she will find Nika. Like, speaking of which, it's around this time that Luffy would be getting his bounty. And Oda does this thing where he shows all the people react to this news. You know, he shows Dragon telling Sabo that he's headed to Logtown, where he will eventually help his son out. Anyway, we see Ace celebrating with Jinbei about his kid brother. We even see Kuma's reaction, considering the fact that he knows that this kid is Dragon's son. We see Bonnie putting lipstick on, and we see that she's pierced her cheek so that Kuma will recognize her once he meets up with her. She even says, like, hey, he's not going to recognize me if I don't have anything on my face. So the chapter takes us to Egghead, and we see Kuma, and it looks like everything in Egghead is already set up how it is on present day. We see the fucking Frontier Dome up, and Kuma's sitting there, and he's really unsettled by all his clones. He's like wondering if they're going to be put to good use or not. And let me tell you, Kuma, they're not, bro. And they're talking about the new group of pirates that have declared war on the world government. Kuma tells Dr. Vegapunk that it's Dragon's son. He fucking loses his mind. He's like, Dragon had a son? What the fuck? Kuma also tells him that he's gonna let him study all of his memories. He also tells him that it's not a coincidence that a man with rubber powers is standing up to the world government, just like his idol Nika. Now, this is where the story gets fucking crazy, right? We get some flashbacks of his run ins with the Straw Hats at Thriller Bark, with, the whole nothing happened. Speaking of which, can anybody tell me what the fuck happened here? We see some more flashbacks of him and Sabaody, and we see how close he was to running into Bonney, and how he was basically almost out of sight for the whole fucking events of Sabaody, you know what I mean? He was right there observing all the Straw Hats at the auction house, when Luffy fucking cracked that goofy ass Celestial Dragon. And of course, we see the scene where he teleports all of them to different locations in the world. Now, the chapter takes us back to Dr. Vegapunk and Saturn arguing. And it appears that Saturn wants Dr. Vegapunk to install a self destruct program in Kuma. You know, should he ever betray them, it's a fail safe way to ensure that, he's not a fucking problem. Just push that button, he's gone. And Dr. Vegapunk is kind of pleading with him. He at least wants Kuma to preserve some of his ego, something that makes him still him. He even says that he created a circuit for his brain that allows him to switch on and off. Saturn ain't really trying to hear that shit. He's like, nah, bro, the fuck out of here with that shit. Erase all that shit. Delete it. Delete all that shit. Now for the really sad shit. This is where shit gets real sad, you guys. The day comes, and you guys know what I'm talking about. The day comes for Kuma. Dr. Vegapunk tells Kuma that his first official assignment as a cyborg will be at Marineford, battling the Whitebeard pirates. And Kuma ain't really fucking tripping, he's really accepted his fate. But he does tell Dr. Vegapunk to program him to do one last thing. He wants Dr. Vegapunk to assign him to protect the Thousand Sunny until one of the Straw Hats return. He says that Luffy's actions really moved him. And he says that if there is a hero that will change the world, it's gotta be Luffy.
Luffy's him, bro.
Dr. Vegapunk just chuckles and he tells him that his unconventional way of thinking is proof of his humanity. Now, before they begin, Dr. Vegapunk tells Kuma to make one of those memory bubbles so he could study it. And he also tells him he's figured out a way to take peeks inside without touching it. Fuck, man. This is where shit gets fucking sad, man. Kuma wonders how many people have been harmed by his actions. And Dr. Vegapunk tells him that living is nothing without trouble. Oda decides to show us all the lives that were certainly not troubled by the life of Kuma. Damn. Not for the saddest fucking moment in the whole chapter, man, I swear. With tears running down his face, Dr. Vegapunk tells Kuma that his life hasn't caused anybody harm, but his death will pain everybody who loved him. Kuma thanks him and thanks him especially for saving Bonnie's life. He also asks Dr. Vegapunk when he sees his daughter to do two things. Number one, to wish her a happy 10th birthday, and number two, to subscribe to Grand Line Bound. Let's go.
My name's Smokey. I don't know how to do a Smokey voice. I love white women and weed.
Right, do you hear me? Do you feel me? We gon' be alright. And when I wake up, I recognize you looking at me for the pay cut. Bahamas, I be looking at you from the face down. One Mac 11, even room with the bass down. Scheming, now let me tell you about my life. Painkillers only put me in the twilight. But pretty pussy and Benjamin is the highlight. Now tell my mama I love her, but this what I like. Lord knows.